Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
The year is 3013. The galaxy is scintillating in the mellow light. Two galactic pilgrims seek out vistas in the samurai future to bring forth the unity of the cosmic shaman. Opening the door of the pantheon of mystics, the evil sorcerer wizard powers the engine of science, seeking to forever alter the sacred balance, traveling on effervescent balls of summer fire.
This week, Star Trek, the motion picture.
In the year 2019, two geeks escape the decadent West to Japan, the land of the future. Now they spend their present reliving the past.
So what time is it now?
420 blaze it!
Oh, 4:10. I see it. It's on,
yeah, it's on your iPad.
It's on the iPad.
Close to 420.
Yeah, we should
just
have
have
waited.
like a puff. I mean, we won't because we're in Japan and I am not risking any kind of
We have no
drug
puffs in
usage.
Japan. I do have this Chew High that I'm drinking at the train station. I bet there's a train coming. But let's get on it. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about Star Trek, the motion picture.
No freeze frames here.
I'm now desperately trying to remember if there's a freeze frame in the film, just to contradict you, but I don't think there is.
Animated series has a lot of freeze frames.
Oh yeah, well that's how you did animation in the 60s. By not animating anything.
Yeah, but I think we both qualify as Trekkies. You've been with the Shat.
I have been with the Shat.
Yeah.
Yeah, lifetime Trekkie comes from my parents.
Train! Sorry, that was from Star Trek 2.
If there are people out there who think we put the sound effects in deliberately, they're going to think we're so obnoxious. That in the first minute we've had like an announcement, a thunder strike, a gunshot, and a train.
I'm all for environmental recording. Anyway, you've had photos of the Shat, and I have my gold command shirt in the mail.
Oh, I've got one in the UK. I should probably get my parents to bring it here.
I would have worn it today, but maybe it arrived today. But I don't have it yet. So, the motion picture. How'd you first see it?
I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure it would have been on a VHS tape. Or maybe literally on television.
I think the same for me. I think my dad recorded it from TV on VHS. Or maybe I did. I don't know. I don't think it was the first Trek film I saw.
Almost certainly not for me.
I know I saw 2 and 3 beforehand.
Well, I'd seen a lot more Next Gen before I watched any original series.
No, I'd gotten through my original series because my dad got me into this stuff when I was like 3. I remember 85, 86 going and they'd had like a promo on the UHF station. I guess they were just going to keep showing Star Trek in their year. Like, Dad, there's a new season of Star Trek. It's like, what are you talking about? You're an idiot. But 2 years later, we did get the Next Gen. And before that, we had a few movies, including this one.
Well, this one was very early on, right? This was just after Star Wars.
Yeah, in fact, we should get a little bit into the background that, Star Trek, as many people know, was unceremoniously canned from television, canceled in the parlance of our times. And the first try was to get a new series on the air.
I used to remember what they were going to call it.
Phase 2.
Phase 2, that's it. Yeah.
But on this series, we were not going to have Leonard Nimoy. He was not down for that. He is not Spock, or he was not Spock.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I've never actually read either of his books.
I haven't either, but I do know. Phase 2 is going to include all of the original cast except for Nimoy, and they were going to replace him with a new Vulcan science officer, a younger one.
Okay.
Full-blood Vulcan as opposed to Spock's half-blood.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure back in like the days when Star Trek was just the original series,
Those
Spock was
disturbing
Star
days.
Trek, right? He was everyone's favorite. He was the one all the ladies fancied, all the...
He was a breakout,
fans
and getting in this movie, he is actually the person they're focusing on the most. But I don't know. I think Kirk's had his little
within
catch.
Kirk's own head, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I just mean that if they brought back the entire cast apart from Spock,
you'd have the Brady Bunch Variety Hour.
yeah,
Yeah,
it would
okay.
be.
I don't think people like Jan best, but it did have a problem for the Brady Bunch
Yeah,
Variety Hour.
everyone would have been
Noticed.
looking at the absence of Spock and not the stuff that was there.
But when they finally did go to TV again, they had none of the characters. So
No, that's a better way of doing it, and I mean, I'll go on record right now. I much prefer Next Gen to TOS. So,
But like you said, Star Wars came in, and that pushed this particular production to theatrical status as opposed to network status, and that brought in our buddy Leonard Nimoy to play Spock once again.
ah, I see.
The film,
He was all about the Benjamins.
yeah, well, and maybe having some exposure, which you wouldn't have had on a network show. Although one thing I don't know if you're aware of or not, what they wanted to do with Phase 2 in the 70s was push out a new network, a Paramount network.
Ah, interesting.
And they eventually did do this with Voyager.
Really?
In America, Voyager was put out under a new network called UPN, which both of us live in Japan. I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but it was.
Is network television still a thing?
I guess not. But anyway,
nowadays it would be we're going to bring out a new season of Star Trek to launch our new streaming service.
yeah, okay. But yeah, anyway, so once they went to theatrical status, they had to get a few more big guns. Leonard Nimoy would be one. The other is the director of this movie, Robert Wise.
So what else has Robert Wise done? I definitely know the name.
Man, I shouldn't have spat out too. I want to say he did the Day the Earth the Earth Stood Still. I am pulling out my phone to verify here.
Okay, no worries.
So he's a big gun.
Okay, so give me some names.
West Side Story.
Okay.
The Sound of Music.
None of these are Star Trek, but...
The Andromeda Strain, a little more sci-fi there.
Okay.
No, he's Hollywood class. He is
Yeah.
a Hollywood class director. Of course, Star Trek, which we are talking about now. The Sand Pebbles. Do you know what that is?
No.
My Steve McQueen in the Navy.
Right.
My father explained to that as being the most boring film he'd ever seen in the cinema to me, so I haven't watched it.
Sand Pebbles in the Navy sounds like something you put up your bum.
But we got The Haunting.
Okay.
That's a good early sort of horror film. Run Silent, Run Deep. Star Trek remade that with Balance of Terror in the original series.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So-
But one of the best episodes.
The point being they were very much, whoa, lightning.
Whoa, nice lightning.
Boom! Holy hell, there's some lightning. And
You know this
Robert
is a dramatic
Wise
podcast.
brought the lightning here. They have a Hollywood big gun. They have an effects guy.
And obviously they got ILM in to do the effects. Who
Yes,
were hot
yes.
off doing Star Trek. Star
Yes.
Wars, sorry.
And I do want to get to the effects guy. Here is Douglas Trumbull, who did the effects for 2001.
Oh, okay.
He did the effects for Silent Running, a few other things, but this and 2001, I would say, are pretty much his golden tickets.
Yeah. They both those films still look phenomenal today. Like there are scenes in this, particularly when they first go inside the ship.
Voyager.
Yeah, which so 20 years later, Independence Day had scenes inside the ship, and they could be the same shots.
You are correct. And I guess it's time we get to the plot of this film, huh?
Yeah.
Off to the races we go. It's the 23rd century, and ships from the Klingon Empire encounter a mysterious cosmic cloud. And what do Klingons do when they see something they don't understand? They shoot at it. The Klingons are quickly dispatched with some kind of energy blast from the cloud. A Starfleet starbase is able to observe these events. Meanwhile, on Vulcan, long-haired hippie Spock is involved in some kind of ceremony bestowing perfect logic that he fails. It seemed that he sent some other sentient life form, and those crazy Vulcans just throw everything on the ground. Spock picks it up and leaves Vulcan. Back at Starfleet headquarters in San Francisco on Earth, Admiral Kirk wants a Vulcan science officer on the Enterprise, which he insists leaves in half the time they require, leaving space dock from their recent refit. Kirk beams onto an orbiting station to meet Chief Engineer Scotty, who will then pilot them to the Enterprise. It seems the transporters are not yet working. It takes forever for them to reach the Enterprise's docking bay, at least on film. Kirk then lets Scotty know that he is taking command of the Enterprise from Captain Decker, who has been in command during the refit of the ship. That cloud the Klingons encountered is heading for Earth and will reach its destination within 3 days. Kirk wouldn't exactly consider himself untried. Kirk has an awestruck reunion with some of his senior staff, but an awkward one when he takes command from his former protege, Captain Decker. Then there is an alarm. While the Enterprise transporters were now supposed to have been online, they have actually managed to murder that essential Vulcan science officer and another needed crew member by converting them into creamed crap, which rematerializes back on the starbase. While this tragedy may curtail morale, Kirk gets everyone into the largest room on the Enterprise to tell the crew that they will be facing an unexplained entity that may harm Earth. He gets to punctuate that with a real-time disintegration of the starbase that had been observing the Klingons. Before rolling away, we need one more crew member. Leonard McCoy ends up drafted, beamed up against his will from a golf course, sporting a leisure suit and a hobo beard. But Kirk needs him. He needs him. The Enterprise must go to warp as soon as possible, and Admiral Kirk is ready to push the crew as needed to make that possible. The warp doesn't go well. The Enterprise's warp engines have a date with a stray asteroid. Decker calls the correct action to avert disaster, but Admiral Kirk calls him out on contramanding his orders, eventually realizing that Decker made the right call. Decker may have to nursemaid Kirk a bit on the refitted ship. So, how do we deal with that warp problem? Maybe it could be that surprise shuttlecraft containing Spock. He doesn't seem to share in anyone's happiness to see him, but he does fix the warp engines and the Enterprise goes to warp. Once the Enterprise reaches the cloud, Kirk suggests a passive approach, eschewing probes or shields. Decker voices the idea to cut and run. After a close call, Kirk's plan seems to be working and the Enterprise begins its way inside with a trippy light show. Once they reach the large object at the center of the cloud, Kirk orders a close flyby, which also turns out to be very trippy. Then a very noisy and bright probe from the cloud enters the bridge and seems to vaporize all of helmsman Ilia except for her tricorder. Decker is very unhappy because the two of them used to date. The mysterious object has made whatever decision it needed to and tractor beams the Enterprise inside of the main structure with a power level that the Enterprise cannot hope to counteract. Once inside, what do you know? A new crewman bursting out of the sonic shower who looks just like Ilia, but is in fact a probe of the unknown cosmic quantity who now gets a name, V'ger. It seems the probe has enough of Ilia's memory engrams to respond to Decker, so he gives her the royal tour so that V'ger may learn before eradicating the ship of its biological infestation. Wait, what? Spock decides to get a little more hands-on by stealing a spacesuit, blasting into the trippy heart of V'ger and mind-melding with its core, which is also taking on the form of Lieutenant Ilia. The mind meld is pretty intense, and Spock drifts back to the ship with Kirk there to catch him. Spock's insight is that V'ger has basically infinite knowledge, but in terms of emotional intelligence is like a child. Gotta put a pause on that though, as V'ger reaches Earth, dissipates its cloud, pachoom, and sends an archaic radio signal in the hopes of contacting its creator. When there is no answer, V'ger sets out on a set of geosynchronous killer drones to destroy the planet. Kirk decides to take Spock's advice, having the bridge crew simply leave when V'ger's probe goes on a tantrum. Kirk's bluff is that they know about the identity of the creator, and the probe calls them on it. So it's up to Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and Decker to climb right out of the top of the Enterprise and explore V'ger's central core. It turns out that V'ger is actually a Voyager probe from late 20th century Earth. It had been damaged and patched up to practical omnipotence by some kind of faraway machine race. The missing letters of the name had been obscured by cosmic bric-a-brac staining the nameplate. It's up to the Enterprise to send the obsolete radio codes to defuse V'ger, but the hardware in the original Voyager probe decides to short circuit at this time. And we do mean decides. Turns out V'ger wants to physically merge with its creator. While cooler heads assume this is impossible, Decker decides that he wants this and vanishes along with the Aelia probe to who knows where in a blast of light. The cloud dissipates, and Kirk lists 2 casualties. Make that missing from the mission. Time for the Enterprise to warp to places unknown. And as the end card tells us, the human adventure is only beginning. And we're rolling. It's time to talk about, all those little things we noticed out about the movie. So why don't we go straight for the design?
Yeah, it's very boring. Like, it gets a really bad rap for being grey and dull. But there is lots of very cool sci-fi visuals and stuff. It's just those uniforms.
It looks like, especially the polo shirt versions, it looks like they're about to start doing, tennis instruction on a cruise ship or something.
Yeah, definitely. And there's like the one-piece pajama-y things some of them wear, which looks like a company you'd wear, like a company in Japan would wear that for like cleaning hotels or something.
Exactly. But I was thinking, looking closer, most of the design is actually quite cool. And the uniforms aren't that bad. You start to notice that, okay, Spock actually looks like Spock. McCoy looks like McCoy when he's not wearing that white cruise ship thing. But
it's just the lack of color, I think.
Red.
I always think of the color coding of Star Trek uniforms.
It's a lack of red.
Yeah.
We need red. We need red shirts.
Yeah.
The helm, if it were red, that'd be the Enterprise. We just learned that in Discovery, getting back to the Enterprise. Make the railing red, make the helm red. Hey, that's the Enterprise.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that said...
not to get ahead, but look at the sequels for this film, and those red uniforms look amazing.
They do. And they reuse the same sets and the same main models. I will go and say that the refit model of the Enterprise is probably the gold standard.
You described it as going on forever, but I really love that shot where they're flying up to the Enterprise.
No, everyone loves that shot. It does go on forever.
Yeah, but I mean, imagine if you'd been watching that in the theaters in 1979 after all you'd been able to see was like reruns of the 60s show on TV, and now you can see the Enterprise brought to life on a big screen and just spaceship porn for like 5 minutes.
Exactly. It's 2019. We just saw Endgame, and that had 30 minutes of superheroes flying about. I mean, technically it was an action scene, but how different is that from an Enterprise flyby when you get
not really like there was no tension.
So how about the Klingons?
So this was the first time we saw forehead ridges, not just black guys Klingons, right?
They weren't even black, and they just had dark makeup on.
Yeah.
Some of them are not. I mean, they seem to be of any descent, really. Which is
but it's
fine.
the first time we see Klingons who actually look alien a bit.
Yeah. And I should note that the version we watched, I have a DVD of this in the director's cut. I have a Blu-ray of the theatrical cut, and it skips. So I got a hold of a file of the theatrical cut.
It's fine. It's a legal backup because you
it's a
own the
legal
disc.
backup. Yes. Anyway, it has no subtitles. So when the Klingons are going, or the Vulcans,
and I was
going,
watching that bit. I thought, they don't have any subtitles. That's interesting.
No, I think I believe the Blu-ray and the DVD did, but
it's because you've got an FLV file, so the subtitles are a separate track.
But anyway, we're rocking with no subtitles here, and from what I understand with the Klingons, James Doohan apparently overdubbed gibberish, and that formed the basis of what we now have as a proper Klingon language. And that's what you're hearing in the movie.
Of course. Wonderful.
Shall
People
we
take Klingons so seriously, and it's so clearly dumb.
Klingons are awesome, man.
I like the Klingons, but
And I know Inception seems to have the patent on it now, but this is the original. Wow.
Yeah, that was a good boom. I didn't really like the effect when it took the Klingon ships out, though.
Oh, the electric thing?
Well, the electric was fine, but then they just glow and disappear.
I don't know.
I think I've recently been rewatching the original Star Wars trilogy, and everything's so physical and visceral in that. And this is so old school sci-fi.
Just vanishing.
Whoop, and it's gone.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. I dug it because it's like.
Maybe it was because it was so slow.
Yeah.
If it had been more instant, it would have been like shocking and scary. But it was just like, it fades out, and it's just.
Earlier, I mentioned Phase 2, and they were going to have a different Vulcan science officer, and they casted him.
Yeah, we see him for like 2 minutes.
Exactly. He gets about 2 minutes of screen time. He is the doomed commander of the space station that watches the Klingons get disintegrated.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the actual Vulcan science officer we see turn up and die.
No, that's not him.
Okay.
The guy that was casted is the human commander of the Starfleet space station.
Oh, interesting.
He was going to be Zahn, spelled with an X. That's kind of awesome. But I think we do like Spock better. So let's go to Vulcan.
Yeah, right. So the Vulcans are they're dedicated to pure logic. They only live by logic. Why do they build so much weird, esoteric, religious shit then?
Well, I do want to get on that the theatrical cut that you and I watched does have more of that.
Right.
You get this bizarre matte painting of a black sky with multiple moons and just giant things,
yeah.
Which I think is what you're referring to. And I love that.
I love it, but it's just it doesn't actually gel with how Spock behaves.
Right.
How he tries to imply Vulcans are meant to be.
Well, they quote unquote fixed it in the director's cut. I think you see Vulcan with a lighter sky and not quite as insane architecture, but I like the insanity of the theatrical cut.
I love it in its own terms, but just the actual doesn't make sense what Vulcans are supposed to be.
And it makes even less sense because this is our other unsubtitled scene.
Oh yeah, again.
But I do like they just throw it on the ground. I mean that is adding some insult to injury.
Get out of here, you emotional weirdo.
I never quite picked up what is he emotional that he picked on an emotionless thing's emotion. What was the cardinal sin?
I guess it's just that he was distracted from his meditation because he was thinking about this thing.
But it was a ceremony.
Yeah, I really don't know.
You don't have to meditate. I guess it's a Vulcan thing, man. You wouldn't understand it.
They don't shit on their culture.
Yeah. I guess I started talking about design, but we're moving on to character here. And for most of the movie, Kirk is a dick.
Yeah. Well, the movie seems like the lesson Kirk's meant to be learning is, he needs to let go. So if this had been the only film they made, it would have been a great character arc. But then it's like, no, we do get 5 sequels where he does just get to be captain of the Enterprise.
No, yeah, in the sequel,
anyway.
I guess we get more Shatner in there. He's just more lively. Here, He's not very lively. I'm not saying he did a bad job. In fact,
I really like. That's what I mean. It's very good character work.
He's acting.
It's just that they
here.
completely go back on it.
Yeah, he's acting here. He's not Shatnering here. Although, truth be told, in most of the original series, he is doing more acting with, the enemy within he's going nuts. But
it's only once he's big and famous and can do what he wants that he starts over-Shatnering.
But he is just brushing everyone off. Be on the Enterprise in an hour. I'm taking command. Go screw yourself.
Well, it's also interesting. So this version of the character and the version that we see in the actual original series is a very serious guy. And the version of Kirk, which, for example, we see in the Kelvin films, it's not based on Kirk, it's based on Shatner.
Exactly.
The character of Kirk is meant to be so straight-laced and boring. That was his thing. He's the guy at the academy who never had fun.
Right. Yeah. Speaking a little more character, I just thought Sulu's initial reaction to him was pretty fun as well, because as many listeners may or may not know, Decay hates Shatner's guts.
Yep, so, I think it's mutual between the two.
It is, but when Kirk shows up on the bridge, and man, that's some acting.
Yeah, he looks really happy to see him.
It's a hey, straight up, man. And Kirk is a complete dick to Decker, because Decker is actually doing his job quite well.
Yeah, Decker would have been a perfectly competent captain for this mission.
I wonder though, are you familiar that this is supposed to be the son of Matt Decker from the Doomsday Machine?
I did not know that, no.
This is supposed to be his son, so I wonder if there's...
Is it supposed to be, or is that something that novels have added later?
I'm pretty sure this was from the screenplay, that this was supposed to be the son.
Okay.
Just as a little aside, but that could factor in. Maybe Kirk doesn't 100% trust him because of the...
Well, I mean, that would explain why Kirk took him under his wing as kind of a protege.
Exactly. But I believe this is in the writing of the film material. Like, he was initially straight up supposed to be the son.
Okay, nice.
So... But yeah, he gave him no warning, so that's another dick move.
That is a dick move. I want to talk about Decker for a second.
Let's go for it.
What a handsome man.
Yeah.
Like, I think I asked you before, like, I don't know if that actor's been in other stuff, but he's got real classic leading man jawline and everything.
I really do feel like he's been... I know the actor's name, which could be because I'm a Trek geek, but it might be because he's in something else. Let's check it out. But... The character is very proto-Riker, and so is his
relationship with the captain?
Not with the captain, with Ilea.
Ilea
is proto-Troy.
She's Proto-Troy. Yeah.
She's empathic. Yeah. This was the first run of that. That was going to be a plot in Phase 2, and they recycled it for TNG.
Yeah, I think like pretty much the whole first season of TNG is just old TOS and Phase 2 scripts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they started outsourcing. They started like letting people just write.
It's like fans send in scripts, right?
Yeah, exactly. Although it did make for some fantastic episodes.
Yeah.
The effects I mentioned before is Douglas Trumbull, I believe, who did 2001. He's the effects man.
Yeah.
And this, like, I'm pretty hardcore for the theatrical version of this.
Well, just long versions of all those gorgeous effect shots.
And going into the cloud, I mean, they changed some of those up for the directors, because I think they tried to make the pacing better. And in a film way they did, but I have to tell you, I haven't owned a lava lamp for many years. The theatrical version of this basically is my lava lamp now.
Yep. Yeah, like, fair enough, I understand why they want to improve the pacing and stuff, but I go to a Star Trek film to see a whole bunch of Star Trek stuff, and you get a lot of Star Trek stuff here.
Just on a side, I've been kind of eyeing Stephen Colin Decker's career here. He's in lots and lots of stuff, but nothing else that is quite picking up. So I guess he is a character actor?
Okay.
Yeah, more or less.
That makes sense, because he looks like the 1970s version of Aaron Eckhart. And Aaron Eckhart never gets a starring role in anything.
You're right.
So.
I think there's a certain thing with leading men where you can't be too pretty.
That makes sense. Yeah, there's no edge to him.
Jude Law is looking a little more edged now, but younger, maybe he had the same problem. Because he was a very
it makes sense.
handsome dude. I mean, if they're too handsome, they just aren't convincing as your lead. And that might be the problem with Decker, and that might be why it works in this role. Oh, this guy's too perfect, man. Kirk needs to take him down a notch.
Yeah. He'd be, in a rom-com, he'd be the other guy. He wouldn't be the one you're rooting for.
Exactly. So is Aaron Eckhart. I want to note one cameo, because we see this actor from the original series. We see her again. I don't think we see her after this. This is Grace Lee Whitney. She shows up on the...
Oh, yes. So she was Yeoman Rand, right?
Uh-huh.
And now she's the teleporter operator who accidentally gets two people killed and has a terrible time of it.
Well, I think the teleporter does that. But yeah, she's there to get that ribbing. And I don't remember the details of her story, but I believe it went kind of downhill after this.
I think it had already gone downhill quite a bit
came
since
uphill
the
a bit
show.
and maybe went back downhill. So,
yeah.
But I guess it's nice to at least get her here. Another thing I know is Nurse Chapel, Michelle Roddenberry, #1, is listed here with the rest of the cast, above a few of them. I thought that was interesting.
Interesting. I don't even remember seeing her on screen.
She's on screen. She's in the sick bay.
Okay.
I think she gives Spock a shot. I think she has a line or two, but she is actually listed, I believe, above Walter Koenig and Nichelle Nichols.
Damn.
Yeah, because she's bumping the man.
Well, does the computer voice show up a bit as well?
Oh, the computer here. Hey, the computer voice is not her.
Oh.
I noted it. It sounds like this. It is a male voice.
Oh, yeah, you're
And
right.
it is the same voice. I'm from Atlanta. It is the same voice that was on the People Mover at the Hartsfield Atlanta International Airport, the busiest airport in the world. I think they later changed that one to a nicer sounding female voice as well. So in the 80s and 90s, high school, we'd go down there. We went to People Mover. I believe there's a punk rock song or two about it. It's great. And that is the voice on the Enterprise in this movie. It is definitely not our polite
So this
Michelle
was
Roddenberry
before she
voice.
was the computer.
It is. She's in the movie, but she's not the computer. I think in Next Gen, you get a male voice a few times first before she actually takes on the role.
Oh, really?
So she's Luxwana Troy and eventually the computer voice, and through the movies as well. And now they cast ladies to sound sort of like her. So. I want to get to the warp scene.
I thought we were going to talk about the transporter.
I actually want to save that for a little later.
Okay,
now
so
that
the
I
warp
think
scene.
about it.
The warp scene is maybe the scene I most remember from my first couple of times watching this film.
I think this is the most LSD scene ever.
Yeah. I don't know if it's from when I watched it as a kid, when I watched it as a teen, when my Trek nerdery outstripped my parents and I was buying up the DVDs myself. But I really strongly remember that scene and the whole belay that phaser order.
That's great. I love that. Now, I just thought it was weird when I was a kid. I was like, why are they doing that? But
Yeah, same. But it's stuck in my memory.
well,
really.
a few years ago, I was properly screwed up without going into the details, and I got paranoid. I was like freaking out the scene. I was like, why are you even in space? Why are you doing this? Just go home, you know? But I was thinking, like, if they did just go home, and then the cloud shows up, and transmits a signal, and someone figures out use a radio signal and sends it back, that might have solved the whole thing a lot more easily.
If the issue was just someone had to reply, surely the 10 billion people on Earth would have figured it out.
I know. Maybe they should have just gone home, and that warp scene just goes to prove it. Because like, why this is so dangerous? Why are you doing this, man?
You just turned into McCoy.
Yeah.
If people were meant to be in space, they wouldn't have to breathe oxygen.
I think he is screaming down the bridge, isn't he? I had a similar feeling with Stargate Atlantis with the Wraith too. I think I was maybe it was the same evening and was flipping out about the Wraith there, but that's a different can of worms. But yeah, I love that. I think I mentioned in my synopsis that McCoy shows up as a disco hobo.
Yeah, he looks insane. I love it. It's my fashion icon.
Why did he shave? He should have done that the whole movie.
He should have done that the whole 6 movies. Just open shirt, big beard.
No, I've said a few times now, we've been watching the theatrical cut, but do I remember in the director's cut him mentioning that he actually was beamed off of a golf course?
I know he talks about being drafted.
Right.
Which is not how I imagine Starfleet, for starters. But
Well, he was using it as a euphemism, I believe.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, what is it just, did I construct this in my mind that he had been golfing and beamed off of the golf course?
it's a very McCoy thing to happen, but I don't remember it coming up.
Okay. Anyway, I feel like maybe they mentioned, there's like 80 cuts of this film. It's like Blade
Yeah,
Runner
yeah,
almost.
yeah.
And I feel like in one cut they mentioned that happening. But if it just happens.
It's our canon, even if it's not canon.
If it does happen to be just from my mind, that's cool. I'm going to get real geeky here. And I think this is the only time in Star Trek we see a warp sled. When Spock shows up in his shuttlecraft, it's on like a sled that disengages.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I remember seeing one of those in Star Wars.
But how about Trek?
Yeah, I don't know if I did.
Yeah, and what, does someone just have to come and pick that up?
Well, maybe it's like rockets.
Well, that's how I got
Real world rockets boosters. They're just done.
Yeah. Is it? Okay. Maybe this is
It's a one-use thing.
too way before SpaceX, where you start reusing the boosters.
Yeah.
If there is a spaceman, it could be all a sham, man. The Earth is flat. There's no space. Or SpaceX reuses boosters.
I don't know how you want me to react when you go on these ones.
I don't either. Oh, let's get a little more precog on this. Did you ever note Kirk's watch?
No?
It's like this totally like freakish Apple Watch thing that doesn't quite go all the way around his wrist.
No, but I tell you what I did notice.
Let's go
That
for-
fucking baby seat that he wears whenever the ship's sinking. And he's got that little thing around his
Oh,
legs.
you're right. They don't do that again until like first contact or something.
It looks like he pulls it up to eat his TV dinners. Like,
But
little man
what
chair.
if the gravity cuts out? That's useful.
No one else has one, and it doesn't even properly strap him in. It just sort of gives him a little table for his. It's really weird.
I guess he needs like a full-on restraint, but the 70s were not about being full-on restrained, man. It's about free love and sex, man.
Right,
And cocaine.
This is before health and safety went mad.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get into the more of the philosophical things here, getting a little deeper into that. And I said I wanted to save the transporters because how do we know you don't die every time you use a transporter?
They've kind of. So, all through Star Trek, every now and then, they sort of hint at this, and they maybe do a little Two Rikers episode. But is this the only time we properly see a transporter accident?
Well, when you mentioned the Riker episode way in the future where Thomas Riker shows up, and they do mention at that point or later on, this might be from a book, sorry, but they mentioned there are very few transporter accidents in Starfleet's history. This being one of the few, like it's a 0.0001% chance that the transporter will actually kill you in this way. But what if it kills you every time?
I mean, in a sense, it definitely does.
Yeah.
But apparently, it can transport some version of your consciousness, but.
Can it? Maybe it's a copy of the consciousness. The point, I wanted to lead off with this because we get to V'ger, our friend in the cloud. How sentient is V'ger?
How sentient is anything?
Yeah, man.
I don't know for sure that you're as sentient as I am.
That's a good point.
And the same, you don't know me.
Do I know I'm as sentient as I am?
But yeah, do I know that I'm sentient?
And I guess this is what is driving Spock in the movie, is what convinces him to countermand command, get in an EVA suit, and go straight into V'ger's butthole. That's what it looks like.
I mean,
It's like a mechanical one.
if that's a butthole, then the Enterprise has got its own butthole.
It does. So does everything else, but yeah.
Well, that is the book, right? Everybody poops.
Everybody poops, including V'ger. But that to me, that's part of the core of this film is that Spock is on the search for this thing that's contacted him. How sentient is it? How much is it not?
Well, I guess it makes sense that for Spock, there is no logical way to define consciousness. So he's thinking, oh, if I can find a machine that is conscious, then I can, solve this. I can square this circle. I can understand consciousness.
And
Maybe that's why he gives up on. It's not Ponfar. Ponfar's the sex one.
That's the sex one.
What's this one?
This is the one where, because he feels that the Vulcan Science Council throws it on the ground.
Yeah, it's the one where he becomes totally logical, but I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, no.
The far.
Kolinar.
No.
Kolinar.
That's the ripping the heart out from Temple of Doom.
That's cool too.
Anyway, yeah. So maybe that's the reason he fails that and gives up on that.
For Spock to square himself with his own logic, he has to accept his human side, and sees that by seeing the icy cold technology of V'ger.
But yeah. So maybe he does accept that there is no logical, mechanical explanation for what consciousness is.
Exactly. So, where did V'ger come from?
Oh, well, it's the Borg, mate.
Could it be the Borg? It is a machine planet.
I don't like the idea that it's the Borg.
I don't either. It's fun to think about because it does dovetail nicely, but at the same time, it seems that this mechanical, like if it were the Borg, they would have
They'd have absorbed it and
assimilated.
they wouldn't have helped it out and sent it on its way.
Unless they saw it as a kindred spirit, technological spirit, like Data in First Contact.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you look around when they finally get into V'ger's heart, it is a little bit 70s Borg looking.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all extrapolation because obviously when they were making that movie, that was not on their mind at all.
The thing yet, right?
It's just fun to try and see if you can draw some lines between this and that.
I would like to see, whether it's in the Kelvin verse or Discovery or something, I want to see Kirk fight the Borg.
I don't know if I want to see Kirk fight the Borg.
No?
He could talk it to death. He could talk the Borg Queen into committing suicide, could he?
He could talk the Borg Queen into bed and
Yeah.
just become the Borg King.
But what would he talk to the Borg Queen?
I don't know.
He
Yeah, I
also
know.
likes to talk computers into destroying themselves. He basically does that with V'ger in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that the Borg works so well as a Picard enemy, but...
But with Spock so hardcore to touch V'ger, V'ger's pretty hardcore to touch Decker in the end as well.
Yep.
And of course it is played with romantic music and sexual attraction. But come on, realistically, that's not what V'ger's in it for. Because V'ger doesn't understand that. It wants to touch its creator.
But then also, V'ger did absorb Liana, is that her name?
Ileana. Shit.
No, that's Colossus'
Ilea. We got it. Ilea.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe some of her emotions have compromised it a little bit, and that's why it's interested in Decker. But
Decker's already growing his alien heart on too. He's in it for the nookie. He likes to go swimming with bald-headed women.
although her celibacy is on file, as she says to Shatner.
Well, you change the file.
Yeah, I mean, presumably she made her vow of celibacy after they dated, was my read of it.
Oh, sorry, I'm almost going back to our last little bit though. Decker's video games suck. He tries to get Ilea Probe interested in humanity by showing the recreational games. I'm like, these games suck. I don't want to play those.
I love seeing, of all the things where like real world technology has evolved much faster than sci-fi predicted it, seeing old 70s sci-fi idea of what futuristic video games would look like is my favorite thing.
I mean, I can take, it's a 500-meter walk from here, man. I'll show you 3D Pong.
I've played that. It's amazing.
Maybe we need to go play 3D Pong when we're finished here. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, Decker's games suck. Of course, the probe is not interested.
Like, what's that crap game that Bond plays in one of the...
I know what you're talking about.
Which one's that? Where instead of playing a card game, they play some crap video game.
I just remember Moonraker was and getting blown back. That's a game to play. But yeah, is that the one with Connery where it comes back?
Oh, maybe. That was Never Say Never Again, right?
Yeah, Never Say Never Again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, sorry, folks, we didn't
Really
research
tell.
that one. We researched Star Trek: The Motion Picture here. A little more Spock, though. I think the key moment here with him wanting to touch V'ger and V'ger wanting to touch him or touch Decker or whoever, you know. The one thing V'ger does not understand is this in his sleeveless sickbay uniform. I feel like that's kind of the key scene of the movie here philosophically, even more so than the big epic ending.
But the Spock discovering that his humanity
Yeah.
is just... Yeah.
V'ger doesn't get this. It can't hold hands.
But so I remember this, the first time I sat down and properly watched this film, that was my main issue with it, was that we had 3 seasons of slowly watching Spock become more in touch with his friendship and his humanity. And then they decide, no, we're going to forget all that and do it again.
But he never quite did it in the original series.
No, but there were so many moments where he did have warmth and friendship.
Right, but
they
next
wound
week-
him all the way back to like 0% emotion.
Right,
for
because
this
it's
film.
like next week it's time to hit the reset button. We got our series Bible. This is who they are. So,
Yeah, I
but the
guess.
point is, in this movie, they solidify it.
Yeah,
In
he-
Star Trek's,
No, no,
in
I'm
Star
saying-
Trek 2.
I'm not saying it's still an issue now, but the first time I watched it, I thought, I don't want to see Spock being this much of a like tedious asshole. But now watching it, it's like, yeah, this is the definitive Spock story.
Yeah, because Star Trek 2 is fully groovy.
Yeah,
and then by
they-
Star Trek 6, he's gotten himself to fully groovy again after dying.
Oh yeah, well, so I guess Spock is Star Trek's version of Rimmer from Red Dwarf, where they just do the same plot every season because they only know how to write one Spock plot.
Does Rimmer have a sea change?
He always starts like, he's up himself, he's an asshole. But then by the end, him and Lister are friends. But the next season, he's back to it, they hate each other.
Okay.
And by the
But-
end of that season, they're friends. And then,
Okay.
And it's same with Spock. They know how to do the story where he's not in touch with his emotions, but by the end of it, he is.
But that
so then they
scene-
need to find a way to reset him. So, no, he's dead. No, we're in a different timeline.
That experience changes him, though. There is no Spock afterwards, chronologically, that does not.
Well, apart from that, he dies and comes back.
But then he has to grow it again.
Yeah, that's
grow
what I
it
mean.
again. And he,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's the same lesson at the end.
They have to do the lesson again and again because they don't know how to write a Spock who was just
They don't know how to write a laughing Vulcan.
Apart from in the very first pilot,
Oh, he laughed.
where they hadn't decided that he was.
Well, you're right.
Project Man.
But then after that, if Spock is smiling, we're in for no good.
Yeah.
Cybok smiles. That's bad news.
Yeah.
Although we love that bad news.
And you've got shouty Spock in the Kelvin verse.
Yeah, Kelvin verse. Okay, we'll get to that. We're
glad we
not
got-
pooping on it. It's just not the time to talk about it, is it?
Yeah.
There are things I like about that, but hey, let's see if the motion picture holds up today.
So the thing people always bring up, and not even just Trekkers, but film fans generally, is the odd Star Trek films are bad, even Star Trek films are good. Which I don't buy. Like, at this point, I think I could watch this one over and over more than Wrath of Khan.
I've seen Wrath of Khan too many times. So I'm finishing your own thought there.
Yeah, but Wrath of Khan, it's good, but it's a very simple. It's just there's a goodie and a bad guy, and they fight. Is the plot, right?
Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm sure we're going to do this one too.
I got a
but,
feeling we're going to go through all the tracks before we're done with this project. But
After I did my notes here, I just going to bed. I was like, I'm going to watch Star Trek 5 now because I like It's fun.
oh
This isn't quite fun.
no, but it's just it's Star Trek.
This
Got that thing where it asks big questions. It does weird stuff. People talk about problems and solve them with their brains. It's not just Star Wars with a Star Trek lick of paint.
Right. This is the purest Star Trek, in my opinion. Is it the best? No, not really. Is it the most entertaining? Not really. Does it have the best effects? Maybe.
Yeah, well, that's because I think it had a pretty big budget compared to most of the other films.
True, but this
Until
is
maybe
Roddenberry. This is the
2009.
only time Roddenberry, he had his hand on the tiller for the start of the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
By season 2, he's already handing it away. Season 3, I don't think he showed up much.
Next
but
Gen was the same thing as well, right? He's
Season
very
1 he's
involved
around.
season 1, and then
yeah, but even more than that, I mean, he didn't direct it, of course, but this was Roddenberry was in charge. He was like, no, our characters will not have conflict. They're not going to fight some sort of demon. They're exploring, and there's this unknown they're going to explore, and they're going to show the best of human potential, trying to explore it, even if Kirk is a dick in this movie.
So I can understand why people want conflict and action and adventure because, yeah, it does make for better stories. But I do love the Roddenberry vision of Star Trek, the United Federation of Planets, Starfleet, all of this stuff. And like you say, I think in terms of the films, this is the purest, just here is Star Trek in a film.
And here's one of the reasons I can straight up identify as a Trekkie is most things you watch, look at Mission Impossible, look at Marvel movies, look at anything you want, Game of Thrones. It's people screwing up and dealing with the consequences. And the vision of Star Trek as I see it is, no one's screwing up, we've got our act together. We're going to push out, and then we're going to have to deal with the issue there because we're looking out. We're good. We don't have to really work on it anymore. You do have to work on it. Again, Kirk's got to work on it. He's a dick. Spock's got to work on it. He's too logical. You have your personal issues, but as humanity, we're going to push out, and then we're going to deal with problems. We're not going to deal with those problems because we're screwing up.
Yeah, Star Trek is just inherently very optimistic. I think there are times when that's what you're looking for and times when it's not, but I don't think there'll ever be a point in my life or in society where I don't need a bit of that Star Trek optimism.
Right. So I think we're on the same page there, but now let's look at V'ger. So it's this technology that's gotten itself out of hand and no longer has any humanity, which honestly makes a lot of sense now. We got our iPhones. People are talking about actually hooking up their brains to computers. But V'ger is old tech. That's Voyager technology, somewhat souped up. So how does the message stand today?
I'm not 100% sure what the message is. Because you could read it as like, oh, humanity shouldn't send this stuff out into space because who knows what happened. But then the whole plot of Star Trek is that it is good to go and explore space. So.
I guess it works out in the end, though, even
Yeah.
if Earth almost gets destroyed.
I guess V'Ger is like the child of humanity. So maybe there is some sort of message there about the legacy we leave behind and parenthood and something, but
And I
it
guess
didn't
it
quite
worked.
resonate with me.
Yeah, I guess interestingly though, this is the first Saving the Earth episode movie. In the episodes, they never did that. After this, like every movie is about
Is this the
saving
first
the
time
Earth.
we see Earth in Star Trek?
In the present.
Oh yeah, I mean there's lots of weird time travel episodes in there. If any time they had to use one of their old backlots because they couldn't afford a set.
That or Nazis, man.
Well, they didn't have the holodeck to excuse those episodes yet.
But I guess we're wrapping up here. But I guess the thing I really love about this movie is most movies I don't want to rewatch, and then there's some movies I want to rewatch, and some, eventually you get tired of rewatching them. Star Trek 2 goes in that category. The Big Lebowski, I love that movie. I've seen it too many times. I can't watch it anymore. But this movie just keeps getting better. Every time I watch it, I like it more.
So I kind of agree with you, but the way I'm going to put it is going to make it sound like I don't like this film. This film is very slow and boring, but as I get older and slower and more boring, I am coming to appreciate it more. Like, films are very quick these days. Even though they're longer, that you're never on the same shot for more than 5 seconds and everything's changing and it's all about action and nothing asks you to think.
And here we're going to stare at this awesome model for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and
with
they're
some
gonna
very
have-
good music. And I kind of hinted on it, but let's just note that this is one of the better film soundtracks ever too. But
I completely forget every time I watch it that this is where the Next Gen theme song comes from.
as a muso, I'm a little muso myself. If anyone's interested, if you listen to this one is way more in your face. The one that we know from Next Generation is much more smoothed out and romantic, where this one's like, bah, 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 bah. It's a military march in your face.
Yeah, but just the tune.
No.
Because
I'm
in my
just-
head, that's the Next Gen theme tune. So it's so weird that it's in this
Yeah, it is weird. to
TOS
hear it.
movie.
But the hallways from this movie do get reused as the Enterprise D hallways.
Yeah, well, you know.
The main bridge comes back as the Enterprise D's battle bridge, too. There's a lot of things.
I didn't even notice that one.
Yeah, have a look at that next time. Whenever they're on the battle bridge or on Stargazer or something, I believe it is this set.
Nice.
Because it's a cool set.
See, that wouldn't happen these days because I think the film and TV licenses have been split
No, you
apart,
gotta
right?
read. Oh, they're split. Yeah, CBS has the TV and Paramount has the
So
movies.
there'll be no sharing of sets and uniforms and Spock actors.
But yeah, the slow and boring movie. It's a fun, slow and boring ride. This is Epcot Center. I went to Epcot Center as a kid. I've been to it more recently.
I'm the guy who drags my friends to museums and then reads every single exhibit. So
Yeah. When I was a kid, like this is the Epcot Center dark ride of films. Because they put you on Horizon, it shows you the history of science and communication and what the future could be, and you're moving pretty slowly the whole time. And they've clearly put a lot of money into all the sets, and it's just moving slowly with dramatic music. And that's this movie. And I don't need everything in my face. Sometimes it's kind of nice to take that dark ride.
Well, and this is the movie that could only have happened once because I don't think it was super successful financially, right?
It was pretty successful.
Was it?
It was successful enough that obviously they were going to make a sequel, but we're scaling down your budget.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it was like, this was the film where they gave Roddenberry this money and were just like, oh, well, Star stuff is big, so make a Star Trek.
Right.
And he made Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then they were like, not like that.
It wasn't a failure. Let's put it that way.
No.
But it was not Star Wars, obviously.
Yeah, but it was.
And Star Trek is still not Star Wars, even when they make it Star Wars.
Yeah, but that's the thing, that this film, they tried to make Star Trek, and they're like, no, Star Trek doesn't make money, make Star Wars instead. And that's pretty much every other film.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Insurrection is a bit more Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, did they make Star Wars with the Wrath of Khan? We will get to that at a later
I'm sure we'll
point.
cover all the Star Treks eventually.
Man, we
Well,
can
this
do,
isn't a Star Trek podcast, it's a sci-fi podcast, so
yes,
you're gonna
we
wait.
can do all this again if we wanted to and talk about completely different things. But we're going to wrap it up today and come back to you next time with.
Spider-Man!
That's not Star Trek.
We'll leave it to you to guess which Spider-Man, because there's a lot.
So this has been Matt.
This has been Luke.
for our Sci-Fi Sanctuary. Matt and Luke's Sanctuary is produced by Luke Summerhays and Matt Comages and edited by Matt Comages. Music is from the Groovy Groups on rovingsagemedia.bandcamp.com. You can contact us at MLSFS1 at Twitter or Facebook. You're on.
In the year 2019. Why would you open a can during my intro?
Because that's what happens in the year 2019. I open a can while you're doing an
That's
intro.
our first outtake to put at the end.
That's not an outtake. Move on.